as a veteran, small business owner, what can we do for you?
What we can all do for all veteran business owners is promote each other.
My main mission was to look at tools of technology to leverage small business and give them more of a competitive advantage.
My mission for Veteran Bargains is very simple: to help vets.
That story in itself, to run for Vista City Council, is a journey.
I think this is an opportunity to really collaborate with those gone before us.
It's really kind of a labor of love.
And now your host.
Welcome back to another episode of the Veterans Radio Show. I'm your host, Shelly Harrison. On our Veterans Radio Show, we bring you heroes in action, making it happen in their community. And today, I am excited to bring you another amazing guest. And she's also an author. So you'll hear a little bit more about our guest in just a moment. But just take a look at any successful company, organization, or institution, and you'll find a veteran or a military spouse in a leadership role of that success. And we want to welcome our audience on, my goodness, we're all live on a lot of different platforms: YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and we're also on Amazon Live. So be sure to subscribe and make sure that you follow us. We have this show every Friday, and it's an inspirational show because we bring you people that are really doing a lot in their communities, as well as worldwide, some of them. So again, when you see our guests, we want you to feel comfortable to put your questions in the chat box. Again, whether you're coming from LinkedIn, YouTube, or wherever you're watching. And we certainly appreciate those subscribes. So with that, we'd love to introduce you to, or I would love to introduce you to our guest, and I'll tell you a little bit about her. So our guest today is Lizann Lightfoot. And Lizann is a seasoned spouse, a published author whose work supports the military spouse community. Her book, Open When Letters of Encouragement for Military Spouses, offers support through the many challenges of military life. And it will be published, she tells us, actually next month, so September, and it's going to be available wherever books are sold. So I know she has a publisher that she's working on with this, and we wish her much success on her launch. And we also want to give a shout out. Her husband is an active duty Marine, and he is coming up on his 20-year reunion. So we want to give a shout out to Daniel. And with that, I would love to bring on Lizann. Hi, Lizann. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thanks so much, Shelly, for having me on today. It's definitely a pleasure to be here.
Oh, I'm really happy to have you here. And I'm so happy that I met you today because we had a nice conversation before the show started. And I want to say that one of the things that I saw on some of your information was that your favorite topic to write about is military life. And we're going to get a little more into that and find out just exactly what that means for you. What I would love to do, Lizann, is just have you share with us your military experience and a little bit about you and how that all ties together.
Sure. So you mentioned my husband.
Daniel
is an active Marine, and he has served for 20 years. I've been with him throughout that entire career. In fact, we met the year before he joined the military.
Oh.
So we are celebrating our 21-year dating anniversary this month.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. But it's only our 14-year wedding anniversary because it took us a very long time to date and get married. So I have been with him through a variety of military life experiences. He's done 7 deployments. We've done 6 PCS moves together, and we have 5 kids.
Yeah.
And it has definitely been a busy military journey, but I started writing for the military community about 5 years ago. My blog is called The Seasoned Spouse. And since then, I've been published. I have hundreds of published articles on various military websites and magazines. So it has definitely been a passion project to support this military spouse community.
Yeah, no doubt. And I know, as far as your bookcase behind you, we chatted about that a little bit. And I would love for you to share about the bookcase. And I know that there's a few books in there that you wrote and you can bring those out and show us and talk a little bit about the books.
Sure thing. My husband and I both love to read. I was an English major in college. He's a history major. So we do, unfortunately, move all of these books with us every time we PCS.
Oh my goodness.
But I will share these two right here, which are extra special to me. This is the first book I wrote. It's called Welcome to Rota because it is about the naval station Rota in Spain. And that is where we were stationed for 3 years. So I wrote this book to support military families moving to Spain. Yeah. And then shortly afterwards, I published my ultimate deployment guide for families going through the deployment experience. And this one is more of a workbook or a checklist that goes along with my deployment masterclass. It has lots of areas where people can write in their own responses and check things off and really personalize it. And it's mostly just to help de-stress that deployment experience,
process.
People feel a little bit more organized approaching that.
Yeah, that's actually a really great tool. And now, where can people find these books, Lizann? I know they're in your bookcase, but where can people find them?
If you're not here in my house, they are both available on Amazon and also through my blog website.
Oh, okay. So great. So I'm sure that if we could show those one more time, because I'd really like people to take a look and
it. Sure.
Yeah.
This one is my first. Welcome
there we
to
go.
Rota. And this one, the Ultimate Deployment Guide, is they're both, like I said, both available on Amazon, but this one can also be downloaded directly from my website.
Yeah. So that explains your English teacher or the English that you had years ago, as far as writing those books, right?
Well, yes and no. My career experience was a bit roundabout, like I think a lot of military spouses are. I did get a degree in English, and then I later got my master's in business administration. But believe it or not, at the time,
congratulations.
Thank you. It just hadn't occurred to me to create a company where I would be freelance writing and, working for myself. I originally wanted to go into publishing. I wanted to live in New York and, do the book publishing experience. And that just did not fit well with military life. And it took almost 3 duty stations worth of unemployment and, underemployment and, again, typical military spouse struggles before I finally decided the only way I could be a writer was if I could work from home and be a freelance writer working for myself.
Oh, that is fantastic. And we had a comment come in from Dolly, and it just went away. Oh, there we go. Congratulations on your upcoming retirement, Daniel and family. So thank you, Dolly.
I saw a few other greetings. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Yes. And actually, Dolly is one of our co-hosts. She's going to be a new co-host on the show. So we're looking forward to that too. And I know she's going to be interviewing some folks just like you, Lizann, and people that have been doing great things for our military community. Yeah. So as far as the challenges that you may have had in your business, we're still kind of in, COVID, and you mentioned that, being deployed, it kind of, it does kind of, challenge things. Yes. So what have the challenges been for you that in your business?
Assorted, but
assorted.
I think, again, very typical military spouse challenges. My husband has deployed several times since we've been married. And so the last 4 deployments, I've been raising children while he was away. And 2 of those deployments, I had my own business established. In fact, I kind of started a business during deployment number 6. So it definitely was difficult, not only trying to figure out how to work from home, with the kids and not a lot of childcare options, but also just all those technical, logistical questions. I'm very competent and confident as a writer, but that doesn't mean that I inherently knew all of the technology skills for starting a blog, starting a website, all of the legal details of starting a business. Yeah. So there was a tremendous learning curve, and my husband is my biggest supporter. So
that's fantastic.
He is.
Yeah.
Trying to figure that all out when he was away without that, emotional and technological support was definitely a challenge. So I certainly recommend that people build their community, get all the support that they can, and really lean on others, especially in the beginning of starting a business.
And that's really good advice. And, for you, like you mentioned, there was a little bit of a learning curve. How did you have access to, just some of the things that you needed in your business, like the technology and, some of the other things that you mentioned?
There are some classes you can take. So, I definitely did some online trainings and seminars. Watched a lot of YouTube videos. Honestly, you can figure out.
YouTube is a good resource. Yeah.
If you have a small and specific question, about starting a blog or, a particular technology issue or a certain way to do something on social media, you can look that up. And, it is frustrating. You do have to sort through a lot of things on your own, but I definitely forced myself to learn a lot of new things on YouTube videos. And then also just asking people as I established my brand and my blog and tried to get my foot in the door for that freelance writing business, getting those first few clients is so difficult. Yeah. And the way that I did it was just interacting with other accounts, with other military affiliated companies. You can't just come out of the blue and pitch someone, but if you've been interacting with them on social media or you've been exchanging some emails, then suddenly that collaboration seems a lot more natural and less forced. So there's a lot of free collaboration in the beginning as well.
Definitely. And really it's kind of tapping into your resources. I know LinkedIn is a great resource, and you mentioned YouTube and those people that already own companies. I think, that we have, whether they're, someone in our community or they, we've met them at a networking event. I think it helps when you do have, kind of leaning on those people that, that can definitely help and support. And I know there's a lot of resources out there. In fact, I know that we have some workshops coming up, so we'll have to talk about those, Lizann, and see if those can help you too. Because I
would love to hear more about it.
Yes. Yeah. They're great.
There are some conferences for veterans and military spouses too. I know everything kind of got suspended last year, so we're a little bit behind on the conference schedules, but some of those really helped me just to get my name out and to establish myself as a professional in my field and interact with people that were in that same niche.
Yeah. And how nice is this that now you're on this show? And I think a lot of people, they need to know who you are, because if you're doing the content writing that you're doing and you're, writing books and blogs, and like you said, so this would be a great opportunity, for you to hopefully have some, folks that can reach out and need your services.
Absolutely. Definitely. I am always happy to support others in the community, other writers, other dreamers. It's a pleasure to serve this community. And I love that phrase, a rising tide raises all ships.
Oh,
and I think of it as, we're kind of just all in the same harbor, and me helping someone else does not hurt my business at all. And in fact, the more that they succeed, the more that we all kind of succeed together.
That is so true. And I think on social media, that's a good way to put out there, things that can help and support other people when you do really meaningful posts that, that share tools and resources that others can use. And I think it kind of multiplies, and more people know that you're really out there to help and support people, but, still growing your business, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. We have a lot of comments coming through, and I love it. It's on the screen there. At this time, I want to real quick, Lizann, we're just going to take a quick recap. Thank you for joining us for the Veterans Radio Show. I'm your host, Shelly Harrison, and I have the pleasure of being here today with Lizann Lightfoot. And she is just an extraordinary woman. She's an author. She also works with a lot of military families, and she has a blog, and you'll have all of the notes and information in the notes for this particular episode. And I want to also bring in, we have our executive director here. I believe he is in the green room, and we have there he is. So we have our executive director and founder of the National Veterans Chamber of Commerce, Joseph Molina. Welcome, Joe.
Well, thank you, Shelly. And welcome, Lizann. It's a pleasure to have you. And even though I was in the green room, it wasn't really green. It was totally white.
I know. Where did that term come from, right?
I have no idea. Maybe from the jungle.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But I just wanted to welcome you and thank you for coming into our show and sharing your experience. And as a military spouse, we're really honored, and we take a lot of effort in helping our military spouses, because when we go in the military service, you guys come with us, and you guys go through so much, probably more than what we go through. And so I just wanted to thank you for supporting your husband, and for your husband supporting you on your effort. And as you know, we have programs and services that you're more than welcome to utilize. But I just wanted to thank you for being on the show, and thank you, Shelly, for allowing me to say hi to our guest. And thank you again for sharing your experiences.
Oh,
well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to meet you, Joe.
Yeah, thank you, Joe.
Likewise.
We always appreciate your input and having you come on and welcome our guests. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the time. And if I keep talking, I'll take over the show. So, Shelly,
that's okay.
Back to you.
No, that's okay. We love the interaction. Yeah.
Yes, and I've seen a lot of notes and comments from a lot of places, even on LinkedIn. So, great conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Thank you, Joe. All right.
Back to you, Shelly.
Yes, thank you. And I wanted to, kind of along the lines of what we talked about a little bit earlier, we have our workshop series that's coming up, and it's for the Inland Empire area, although it's also, other folks that need the training are certainly welcome. But we have a specific series of workshops that we're doing, and we have 2 scheduled, and we'll talk about those another time, but they're on September 1st and September 2nd. So hopefully you can, tune back in and learn a little bit more, but we'll also be posting it on the Veterans Chamber Facebook page and probably on the LinkedIn page too, so that you can look for those links so that you can enroll. And it's free to attend, which is wonderful. And we have some wonderful facilitators. And Joe is actually going to be one of them. So
that's right.
Again,
yes, I'll be one of them. And you said you're welcome to be one of them too. This project is from the California. So as long as the business is in California, primarily Inland Empire, but California is okay, they can receive the assistance. I'll be helping people in business areas. So if you have a topic, or you know someone who's a subject matter expert on something, just send it my way. And then Shelly and I will kind of go through their qualifications to see where they fit.
Yeah,
And
sounds good.
so yes, thank you. And so I'll let you go with it, Shelly. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Joe. All right. And Lizann, we're going to go back to you now. So I would love for you to share with our audience, when you look at, all of the things that you've been through, what is the one accomplishment that you really, in business, what is the one accomplishment? Because we know your kids are, definitely a wonderful accomplishment in your marriage. But in business, what is that one thing that you feel is just, you're so happy about in your business?
I think most recently, it's probably just being able to edit a book manuscript during a pandemic with a baby while preparing for a PCS move.
Oh my gosh. That's an accomplishment, right?
Year. And I think I'd started writing the manuscript actually a few years ago during one of my husband's deployments. And I specifically designed the book to be in these little short letters, and each segment I could kind of sit down and write for maybe an hour, and that's sometimes all I had. So it came along very slowly, but when it was finally accepted by the publisher, they started giving me some deadlines, and the initial manuscript deadline they gave me was just a few months after my baby was born. And I'm thinking,
oh my goodness.
Sure.
Yeah, no problem.
I can have the baby in September and give you a manuscript by January. That's no problem.
Oh my gosh. So you were up probably early in the morning, late at night, trying to get those pages accomplished, right?
Sure. And I mean, as a new mom, you're up then anyway. So I was, juggling feedings and all kinds of things. But I just use that story as an inspiration, that I know that a lot of business owners are either very young or very busy, or in a stage of life where, it seems like there's so many other responsibilities pulling you in different directions. And I think when you break your business tasks down into those tiny manageable chunks, you really can accomplish incredible things. It might take a little bit longer, but it's so rewarding to be able to work toward a larger goal, like publishing a book.
Yes, I know. And we actually have a question coming through. Does self-publishing a book close doors for the traditional publishing world? So we'll pose that question to you,
So
Lizann.
I love that question. And I hope that I am a good example for it, because I mentioned my 2 books earlier. These were both self-published, and I did the editing myself. For this one, because there's more graphic design, I did hire out, a graphic designer, but they were both
Yeah.
self-published and sold on Amazon. And it was after I had already written those that I started my writing business. And I now have a traditionally published book coming out next month.
That's
So I would say
amazing.
it does
Yes,
not
in
close
September.
doors. And in
Mhm.
fact, I think if it's used the right way, it can open more doors. A big reason that my manuscript was accepted by a traditional publisher is because I'd already put in the work to build a brand, to have a platform as the seasoned spouse. I was already a trusted voice in the military community, and that's who I had written my book for. So I know there's a big divide in the writing world between self-publishing and traditional, and what works for one person might not be the right answer for someone else. But no, I don't think it closes doors at all.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that input, because I think that's helpful for people, that are looking to write a book, or maybe they're already done and they, just need to determine which direction they want to go. We have, let's see, has there been a time when you felt like quitting your business?
My
Ooh, that's
overall business, no. Once I started freelance writing, and I discovered that was such a great use of my talents, and such a flexible job, and a wonderful way to be able to contribute to my family. I love it. I love interacting with our community. So I haven't thought about quitting that. I'd say the closest I came to quitting was right before I published the first book, because this book is written about a military base. And like I said, it is self-published. So I had written for a year, I had been working on a manuscript. It's all about, traveling in southern Spain and tips for military families moving to this particular base. And my manuscript was almost complete when I took it to the public affairs office, just as a courtesy to let them know that I was planning to publish. And they tried to shut it down. And suddenly I was, embroiled in all this red tape that I wasn't allowed to advertise on base. I wasn't allowed to market on the base, which was very unfortunate, because it's an extremely niche audience, and that's who it was written for. That's who I wanted to help. So there was a time where I said to my husband, I don't know if I should even bother publishing in this if I can't even sell it on the base.
Goodness.
And he told me, no, you are self-publishing. That means you can write whatever you want. And
that's great that you had his support too.
He's so supportive. It's because of him that I really was able to start a blog during a deployment, and to start an LLC business, and really legitimize my writing. So he's always been my biggest fan. But yes, I think you need to have sometimes those voices of reason, that when you get very focused on one particular problem in a business, it's so important to seek a mentor, or just seek an outside help to say, hey, legally, can I do this way? Or if I make this choice, what are going to be the repercussions, and how can I maybe work around this? And mentors can give you some great advice.
Well, you are definitely a trailblazer. I mean, I admire what you're doing, and 5 children, and going through, the deployments and everything that you've accomplished, Lizann. I mean, I really, from one woman to another, I really applaud you. And I think that's great that you've had all of this success and continue to have success.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, well, thank you. And, for our audience, based on everything that and that you've learned, Lizann, is there anything specifically that you would like to share with our veteran community?
Well, I would love to share a little bit more about my upcoming book, if that's all right.
Please. Yeah.
Yeah. So my newest book, which is coming out at the end of September, it's called Open When: Letters of Encouragement for Military Spouses.
And it's a beautiful cover.
Thank you. That's the benefit of having that traditional publisher. They designed the cover.
Right.
But it is a collection of short letters that are written directly to military spouses in a variety of military life challenges, from the little challenges like missing a phone call during deployment, or going to your first military ball, all the way through the major challenges of, moving your family and living in another country, and going through the dangers of a combat deployment and things like that. And it's just meant to really support and encourage our community in those moments when they need it the most.
Yeah. And again, a great resource. And I think there are a lot of, spouses out there when this book, and right now it's available pre-sale, right?
Yes.
Yes.
You can get it pre-order through my publisher. I think they're going to share that link later. And it's also available for pre-order on Amazon.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be a great resource. And our audience, you've heard it. She has an amazing book coming out in September. I know that we have the link up right now. I believe that's the correct link to pre-order the book. And as far as how people can get a hold of you, Lizann, what could you provide your contact information for us and for our audience?
Sure thing. My website, which is my blog, is seasonspouse.com. And I am on most of the social media platforms as The Seasoned Spouse or at Seasoned Spouse.
Perfect. All right. And we had all those links up there, and they'll also be in the show notes. So those of you that are watching or rewatching this particular episode, you'll find all the links for Lizann in the show notes and also while watching. Lizann, as far as just what's next for you, I know we have maybe a minute or two left, but I would love for you to kind of share. We know you have your book, so that's a no-brainer. But what's next for you?
Really, I just am looking forward to being able to interact more with our military community and kind of grow my voice and be able to speak up for others who need the support. And I'm continuing in my writing and editing journey. This year, I took on a job as a part-time editor, and long term, I hope to become an editor for my long-term career.
Fantastic. Well, we're excited to see your journey continue. And I really want to thank you for coming on the show today and for sharing, everything that you've been able to provide, your books that are coming out, or the book that's coming out, and the 2 books that are already out. One, which is the workbook, which I think, again, I think people need to know about these books so that, especially in our military community and, as far as military spouses. And again, we want to thank Daniel for his service, his 20 years of service.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here, Lizann, and good luck to you. And we want to thank our audience for being here. And just remember, go out and thank a veteran today, however that is, whether it's a text or just out on the street. But make sure you thank a veteran today. And join us every week. We have this show every week on Friday. I want to give a shout out to our co-host, Dolly Rivera, who's going to be, you'll see her coming on. And then also my co-host, Laura Torres. So those 2 ladies are amazing. And I can't wait for, the next season of all of our episodes on this veteran radio show. So thanks again for joining us, and everybody have a wonderful day. Thank you.